Been a couple of days since I purchased the Sony CX405 camcorder, digital camcorder at my local Best Buy store. And I've had some time now to kind of play with it, experiment with it. And I've got a couple of things that I kind of came across that I think can really help me get the most that I can out of this inexpensive camcorder. It's really a value-packed little thing, but because it's Sony, it's got its little quirks, and so I'll just get right to it. One of the problems that I initially had, and it was just user error on my part, I think, pretty much. Plus, you could maybe kind of say it's the design. But in any case, if you're familiar with the camcorder, it's got this little door right here. And inside that little door, you've got the, trying to do this backwards, you've got the place for the micro or SD card. That's where the micro SD card goes. And on a normal micro SD card, which I've always been used to, they'll only go in one way. It'll either go in, it won't go in the wrong way. Well, this particular reader is actually a dual reader. It's set up for not only the micro SD card, the regular one, but it's also set up for Sony's, they've got a proprietary memory card. I think it's called Memory Stick or whatever. I don't remember. But it uses the same slot there, and so they've modified it in such a way that you can use either one or the other. Well, initially, I was I was just kind of really, I didn't realize that you could stick the card in upside down. That's basically what happened. So I was inserting the card upside down, and then it was popping up with an error message telling me, "Hey, you've incompatible format or card, got a problem." And I thought, well, it's maybe it had to do with the size of the capacity of the card. It didn't like that. So I got to digging around, and I've got a bunch of different SD cards that I've collected over the years, and so I ended up messing around, and I got these different cards, different capacities. I found one like a 2 gigabyte one I found that worked, but as it turned out, it was user error. I was inserting the card upside down, and it let me do it. And you'd have no idea that you'd inserted it upside down unless you get an error message. And so what you want to do is anytime you insert a micro SD card into one of these, this is a CX405, anytime you insert that, you want to make sure that the pins on the micro SD card, the little metal pins, the contact pins, are pointed down. And for some reason I thought they should have been pointed up, but they're pointed down, and then so it'll accept a 64 gigabyte card, no problem. Now, I don't know about a 128. It's, the only way you could really know would be to try it. Physically try different capacity cards. I don't have a 128, actually I do. I have one in my phone, but I'm not going to take it out. So, but I've got 64s and 32 and a 16 and maybe an 8 somewhere, and certainly I have a 2. But the 32 will actually, it gives a ridiculous amount of recording time. The other tip, before I ramble on too long, the other tip is what you want to do is set, because the Sony, they have another thing that they've pushed, or they've developed a number of years ago in conjunction with Panasonic, was an AVCHD file format. And, some editing software just does not like AVCHD. it causes problems. And so then people have to convert the files. And so what Sony did with this, and it's Sony, what they did with this is that by default it's set to, to the AVCHD file format, but then it records a smaller 720p file. So you can record a 1080p or 1080 AVCHD file, and at the same time then it makes a 720p file, and that's on by default. Well, what I found out, let me switch screens here. What I found out, whoops, wrong one. There we go. What I found out was that, there's this other file format that you can switch to, and it actually gives you better quality. But it's XAVC-S. And so what you want to do is dig into the settings, for the like the picture size and what have you, dig into those settings and change the file format to XAVC-S. Now, what's that going to do for you? You're going to end up with a better quality image, but on top of that, what you're going to end up with is an MP4 file. None of these silly MTS, AVCHD files that are hard to edit. You end up with an MP4 file, and it's actually a 1980 by 1020 MP4 file, and it goes right into any software, virtually any editing software. Sony doesn't really tell you that, and a lot of the videos that people are making, or at least the ones I found on YouTube, they haven't talked about that. And so I just kind of discovered that on my own. And so those are the two things about this camera that are a little quirky so far. You do want to change the default file format to this, what was it called again? XAVC-S. You want to change it to that. And then you want to just make sure that you're inserting your memory cards. You want to make sure you're inserting them with the pins down. And, it should work then. And it certainly will work with the 64. Now, I don't know about a 128. If you know about it, put it down in the comments. So, but it's a really nice little camera. I really like it. I like the fact that it's got the built-in screen protector, basically, or a cover. Very slick, super duper lightweight, and it actually produces some pretty decent video for the price. You can't beat it. I've paid, of course, going back in time, I've had a number of different camcorders that were, $1,000 plus, $1,500, or maybe, I don't remember anymore. Certainly, I've paid $1,500 for a camcorder before. Of course, this was older technology and worse quality. Things were monstrosities. The first VHS camcorder that I had was one of those, the big ones with the built-in VHS, full-sized, big monstrosity. You had to kind of hold it up on your shoulder, and this thing is just... super duper lightweight. It produces pretty good video. It's not 4K, it's just 1080p, but you can do 1080p 60. But it's good enough. Especially what I'm going to do, I'm finding that I'm kind of planning on doing with this is just to get out and just get out and record just video, not necessarily the video that I'm going to do anything with, but just to kind of get out and just sort of practice, because practice makes perfect. You need to get out and do that, and this camera seems to be the right size in order to accomplish that with, or at least, where I don't feel sort of demotivated, because I've got the DSLRs and what have you, and yeah, they can do some they can give you some pretty good results, but then the problem is it's a DSLR, the thing's massive, and et cetera, et cetera. And so this thing is just super duper lightweight. It can take 9 megapixel images if you want to do still images, and then of course the 1080p 60 video. So for $229 or cheaper, you may be able to find it cheaper on Amazon. And even at Best Buy sometimes drops the price. But even at $229, it's a great value, and it's been around for a while. This model probably originally came out probably 6 years ago, and they're still manufacturing it and still selling it, and really glad that they are. It's a nice little unit, and it's a nice performer for the price. So, but if I find out any other little tricks to that can kind of make this thing perform better, I'll be back with more videos about it. But especially the file format thing, change it to that other file, to the other file format, and that will solve your problems if you're having problems with the AVCHD files. Change it to the XAVC-S, and you'll end up with really nice MP4 files. So, but it's Sony, and they hide they try, they love to make things sort of proprietary. They've had a long history of that, and then but now they probably decide, well, we need to make concessions. We'll throw these 720p MP4 files on their dual recording, and we'll still try to push the AVCHD. But in the meantime, we have this other file format, and we're not going to tell them about it, or what it does. It makes MP4 files. Well, gosh, you don't even need to mess with the AVCHD. But of course, they have that turned off by default. So, but at least they give it to you. And Sony makes some decent products. So. But like I say, I'll be back. If I run into anything else with this camera, I'll be back and let you know. But that's it.